To learn how to enter the data into Microsoft Project 2010 and also learn some of the basic concepts of formatting in Microsoft Project 2010. So to begin with, this would be the screen that would be visible to you when you start Microsoft Project 2010. So the very first thing we require to do is to go under the column task name and enter the task or activity name. For sake of simplicity, we are just considering single alphabets over here. So the very first task name is say A, B, C, T, E, F and G. So I've entered the 7 tasks as you can see over here along this number. Now in the very adjacent column it says a duration, which is the total span of working time for a task. So let's say the task A lasts for about 4 days. So you click over here and type 4. Task B lasts for about 6 days, C for about 4, 2, 6, 4 and task G lasts for about 5 days. So once the entry has been done, you can see the bar exists in a very light blue shade over here in this part of the screen. So it indicates that they are manually scheduled. So what manually scheduled means is basically it cannot automatically adjust the dates or durations or with respect to the calendar, which we would see in future how to use that many functions. But the primary thing that needs to be done after task name and duration are entered is to convert it into an auto scheduled mode. So to convert this into an auto scheduled mode, you just go over into this square cell like thing over here and click on it so that entire thing is selected, and under the taskbar you may go to auto schedule. So basically it indicates that auto schedule function automatically calculate the start, finish and duration values for the task based on dependencies, constraints, calendar and the factors. So just click on auto schedule. Now you can see that all the bars in this part of the screen are converted to dark blue and now they are auto scheduled. Now all the activities of the task cannot start all together, as we can see over here. They might be having some relationship with one another. So let's try to understand how to enter this relationship. Suppose if we say that activity B starts after activity A, then what we would like to do is we would like to add activity A over here which precedes activity B. So what you might be thinking is to directly write activity A, but this is an incorrect step. You cannot write directly activity A over here. You need to enter the number with respect to activity A. So that is basically a serial number type of thing. So if you look onto the number corresponding to activity A is 1. So you need to write 1 over here. Suppose activity C also precedes activity A, then again you need 1 over here. Note 1 is a number with respect to activity A. Suppose activity D is also preceded by activity A, then you need again to write 1 over here. Now activity E is preceding activity B, so yes, you are correct, you need to write 2 over here. Now you might have a question that activity F can precede only one or more than one task. So what to do in that case? It's quite simple. Let's assume that task F is preceded by both C and D, so you need to just write the numbers of both of them as 3, 4. Similarly, let's say if G is preceded by both E and F, so you need to write 5, 6. So you can see over here, once we press enter, this automatically gets a relationship over here like this. So now if we want to look further, that yes, we know that activity B is after activity A. So if we look on to the relationship, that is activity B, which is this one, starts once the activity A is completed. So the relationship is finish to start, which means after activity A finishes, activity B starts. Now if you want to put some time interval between both of them, between a finish of a very first activity and start of the very next activity, that is generally referred as a lag in the project language. So if we want to enter the lag, it's quite simple. Just suppose if we want to say that activity B has a lag of 2 days after activity A starts and has a relationship of finish to start. You can just double click over here and go to advanced predecessors. We need to go to predecessors. Now you can see the relationship over here, that is finish to start, start to start, finish to finish, start to finish. So we have to take a relationship of finish to start and say that it has a lag of 2 days. So you can directly write 2 over here or click over here in the small tab and adjust it to 2 days. Then click on OK. So you can see that we have a gap of 2 days in between. Actually here it's 4 days because Saturday and Sunday are considered to be off as per the calendar existing at this moment. So it adjusted by about 4 days, but actually it's 2 days only. Now suppose say activity D has a start to start relationship with lag of 7 days with respect to A. So just observe how this is now with respect to, that is just after activity A is completed, activity D starts. So now we want to change the relationship to start to start. So again go double click on the number adjacent to the activity. You will get this menu box open. Now click over here, start to start, and lag, adjust the lag to 7 days and click on OK. So you can basically see that this activity D begins 7 days after the activity A begins. So this is a type of relationship that has changed at this moment. And now say that activity G has a finish to start relationship with activity E with lag of 2 days. So you basically need to double click over here. Now here you have two options, activity 5 and activity 4, that is E and F respectively. So if we say that it has a lag of 2 days with respect to activity E, you need to type 2 over here. You don't need to change F because the relationship with F is with 0 lag itself, that is it has just finished to start relationship. So press OK and this is what you get. So this is how we can establish the relationship between different activities with lag. Now it's better to always work with a detailed Gantt chart. So actually this you can see over here, this is a Gantt chart. Now if we want to go to the detailed Gantt chart, you can click over here and in more views over here, and you can just type or see the detailed Gantt, that is D. Click on it and make it apply. So this is basically the same format, but what the change is, let me go again to the Gantt chart and then again come back. You can see over here that all the activities are in blue color. So you cannot actually make out which are the activities having a slack, or in other words what we call as a float. So the detailed Gantt chart gives a very better and a very proper understanding about which are the critical activities of the project by highlighting them in red color. So if you again go back to the detailed Gantt chart view, so click over here and it's over here, detailed Gantt chart view. We can see that all the critical activities, that is activity A, B, E, which are critical in the project, are highlighted as a red color. Now this is a project with only 7 tasks or activities, so it becomes easy to identify which bar is for which activity by correlating with the left side of the screen. But if you are supposed to say 100, 200, 300 or 500 tasks, then it really becomes difficult to understand which task or which bar belongs to which task. So for that we need to learn some of the very key essential formatting tips. So to start with, we need to go here in the formatting bar over here, as you can see on your screen. Click on format, go to format and on bar, and this you can say 2 parts, bar shape and bar text. We need to go on to the bar text. Now this basically indicates whatever you select would be shown in the left side of the bar, or right, or top of the bar, or bottom of the bar, or inside the bar. So where is a place you want to put the legend type of thing onto your bar. So if I want to put the name of the task, that is A, on the top of the bar, I will go on the top of the bar, click on this drop down menu. Now in this list of table, we need to select the name, that is this column. So you need to type, you can type N on your keyboard and you have a name over here. So basically this title and this title should be similar. So click on name. So you can see over here a sample how would it appear, and press OK. Now you can see, as we were over here on the task A, the only single task, that is only the single bar, has got this nomenclature. So if you want to get it for all the bars at the very first time, you just need to click over here, that is in the small box that as we did earlier to select the whole working sheet. Just click over here, go on to format, bar, then again we need to put it on top. So top, press name, and so we can get name, press OK. So you can see now the names are displayed on each and every bar. So we can move on to this side, we can move on to this, or zoom out if it's not visible, and finally we can get a better understanding of each and every pass. So we need not to go again every time on the left part of the screen and check it again. So this is all with data entry and basic formatting part. A formula generally is a concise way of expressing information symbologically as in mathematical form, or it's a general construct of a relationship between given quantities. So in this module we are going to learn how to add a formula to the cells in Microsoft Project 2010. And in order to supplement that, we would also be learning how to add columns based on the types such as text, duration or number in Microsoft Project 2010. So let's start with. So this was the project continued from the previous module, that is module number 1, data entry and basic formatting. So we'll be working further with the same file. Now if you see over here, we had entered predecessor over there, that is in the Gantt view we had added a predecessor, but what you see over here is a successor. You don't need to worry at all. You can just right click over here along this one. You can go on to insert column, you can just type P, so we can get the list of things starting with P, and click on predecessors. So this is how the predecessor can be brought back. Now I think we don't need a successor, so I would right click on it and click on hide column to hide that column. We also don't need resource name as this moment, so hide the column. So now we have add a new column option over here. So we can click on over here on the drop down menu, and it has many of the inbuilt columns. So if we want to know the total slack, so we can just write TOT. So here it is, total slack. So we just need to select the total slack, and it would display the total slack values in this column. So we can see, as we had already knew that the bars with the red color are critical, so the slack would be 0. So this is how we can get it. Now suppose if we want to further add another column known as free slack, so FREE slack. Okay, so here it is, free slack. Now after directly adding total slack and free slack, now you might be knowing the formula for interfering slack, which is total slack minus free slack. Now if we go on to the add columns and write interfering slack, it doesn't appear. So now the question is how to bring that thing into Microsoft Project 2010, as it doesn't have it as an inbuilt function. You need not to worry at all. So the first thing you need to know is you have this column and this column in the form of duration. Now the question is how can you know? You can see over here 0 days, 8 days, 1 day, 0 days, 7 days. So the days means it's a duration. So you can click over here. Now we want to add a column based on duration, so you can just type D. You get too many options. See, duration 1, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are some of the blank duration attributes provided over here. So we would be selecting say duration 1. Yes. So now we got a column which has all the values 0 and in which we need to enter the value. So you can do is subtract 8 minus 1, which is 7, and type it over here, but that's the donkey labor work. We are not going to do that. So just right click over here and go to customize field. So the very first thing we are going to do is to change the name to duration1 to interfering slack. And press OK. So the name is changed, you can see over here. Now again go and right click over here and go to custom fields. So in custom field you can see we have an option custom attributes, that is lookup, formula and none. Currently none is selected. Now go on and select formula, press OK, and then again go to the formula. So basically we have this box in which just like a sort of calculator in which we can put up the values and formula, and we can finally get the answer. So you can see over here, that is we have added formula interfering slack equals to. Now we need to select the field. So our field is fill duration, in which we have a total slack. As we discussed earlier, it is displayed in days, so it's a part of duration. So we went over to duration and we can find total slack. Select the type of mathematical operator you want. As per the formula of interfering slack, it's total slack minus free slack. So I would again go to field duration free slack and press OK. So just see over here what happens in this part. OK, and make sure that you have selected this bubble over here and you have entered the formula and press OK. So you can see over here it's done. It's 0 minus 0 is 0, 8 minus 1 is 7, 7 minus 0 is 0, 7 minus 7 is 0. So this is how we can use the formulas. So this is not just the single way in the form of interfering slack where we can use a formula. It can be used for any type of data, whether it be duration or numbers or any other mathematical operation you want to do in Microsoft Project 2010. So this is all about slack and working with formulas. Lookup basically means making a cell capable for us in which we can select the data as we want from the drop down menu. So basically we need not to enter the data each and every time. We can just click on a drop down menu and select it as and when we want. So let's get started. Suppose in these present activities or tasks that are continuing from module 1 and 2, we want to add on the responsibilities for each task. Say suppose we have 3 persons, Jack, Alan and Smith. So how to do it? Let's get started. First of all, let us hide out the unnecessary columns in it. So I will press it hide. I will make it a bit smaller. This total slack is to be kept. I may hide this as well as I may hide this. Okay. Now the very first thing we need to do is add a new column. So in previous module we added a duration as we wanted it for days. So now the responsibility is in the form of text, that is a name. So we would add a column in a form of text. So let's say select text 1 as done previously. Right click, go to custom field and add over here responsibility and press OK. So the very first thing we can do is we can directly type over here. Suppose this is Alan, Smith, Jack, or whatever we want. But typing every time is a quite laborious work. That is, suppose in the case you assume that you have say 500 activities, how many times you can go on typing and typing and typing the same name? So that's where the lookup function helps us. So let's make a drop down menu in each and every cell of the responsibility column. So for that, let's first of all delete this. Now right click on responsibility, go to custom fields, select this bubble near lookup, press lookup. Now we need to add the names over here in the value column. So let's add Jack, press enter, then we have Alan, press enter, and finally we have the Smith. You may also add the description over here if you want to. After the values are entered over here, that is Jack, Alan and Smith, close it and press OK. So what do you see is a drop down menu over here which says Jack, Alan and Smith. So it basically simplifies our work a lot. So we now just click on Alan so that Alan is selected, then we click on Smith, again Smith, then we can have a Jack, then again we can have Alan, and at last Smith again. So in a nutshell, the lookup function simplifies our work to a lot more extent than we were required to do. So this is all about this module. Like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint 2010 also has capabilities to use conditional formattings using formats such as if function and switch function. So to begin with, we would be starting to learn if function first. So suppose wherever there is 0 days slack, you want to display over here that critical activity. If slack is equal to 0, then display critical activity, and if slack is not 0, then you display non-critical activity. So first of all, to start off with, we would be required to insert a column named text. Text is to be selected because we want the result into text format, that is, we are saying that activity is critical or activity is non-critical, so it's basically a text that we want to display. So go on to T and select text 2. Now as we have seen earlier, we need to customize it, so go to custom fields. Now right over here, type of activity question mark. Now go on to formula bar over here, select the bubble and go to formula. Now here you can see the formula screen. Now here we need to insert the function. So in order to insert if function, go to function, general, and you can see if over here. So if we look on to the type of syntax it uses is similar to that of an Excel, except here note the significant difference in the spelling. It uses double IF. Okay, now we can select the expression part, and here we don't need to type. We can also type, but the more easier way is to select the directly field whichever you want. So suppose if, as per our case, we want to test that if total slack equals to 0, then critical activity and or else non-critical activity. So select expression, go to fields. Now total slack comes under duration as it's displayed in days, so go to duration, total slack, enter the condition total slack equals to 0. Note, to enter whichever value you want to, you need to always enter it into double inverted commas. So we'll put double inverted commas besides and after 0. Now select the true part, start double inverted commas, write critical activity, double inverted comma close. Similarly in false part, non-critical activity, double inverted comma close. Press OK, OK and OK. So now you can see wherever the total slack is 0, we have a critical activity, and where total slack is non-zero, we have it as a non-critical activity. So nested if can also be constructed, as well as we can use if conditions with some other conditions, that we can use two if conditions using an AND function between them or an OR function between them or NOT function between them. So it depends upon the complexity and type of results that you want, that would decide which type of if is required. So this is all about if function. Now coming on to switch function. What basically switch function means is, suppose if in the responsibility column I want to change the responsibility of Jack to John, Alan to David, and Smith remains as it is. So one of the simple ways to go in each column or each cell and write down that name respectively, or enter that name into the lookup as we did and then to select it again and again. But it would be a very cumbersome task if we are required to do it for say 100, 200 or 500 or 1000 activities. So what's the simplest way? The simplest way is to switch. What the switch function does is it would directly switch Jack to John wherever it is found in the respective column that is being selected. So let's do it. So for that, let's say we need to put that column as a new responsibility. So this is not required, so I'm hiding it at this moment. Now in add column, so we select text 3 and we'll customize it to a name new responsibility. Now go to the formula tab and select the bubble and then press formula. As we done in switch, go to functions, general, and then we have a switch. Now the syntax is expression value 1, expression value 2. So let's understand this, how it works. Suppose the very first step is to, if we want to select this expression, go on to the field. So our field original which we want to change or switch is a text type, as we have written a name. So go to text, then move on to custom text, and here we have a responsibility. If responsibility equals to check, note to write it in double inverted commas, then it is to be replaced by John. Similarly, which should be also written in double inverted commas. So this was the first part. Now if we want to again add an expression, that is, again if we want to say in case of responsibility we want to replace Alan by David, so we need to write Alan comma double inverted commas and David double inverted commas close. While as we saw in the third case, that wherever there is Smith, we want to keep Smith as it is. So now we can add an expression, text, custom text, responsibility, we can note equal to double inverted commas, wherever there is Smith, we want is as it is. So one way is to write Smith comma double inverted comma Smith, but it's not a practical way. So we would write Smith comma and again add a field responsibility over here. So basically what it would do, wherever there is Smith in responsibility column, it would keep the same as it is. So we select responsibility over here and press OK, and OK over here. So now you can see Alan has been replaced by David, Smith is as it is, John is replaced by Jack, and Alan is replaced by David again, and Smith is as it is. If you want to keep any of the column, and suppose after Alan, wherever Alan changes, I want something blank, then you can directly keep it as blank as it is, and thereby the blank value would appear respectively. So we can see Alan has a blank attribute now. So this is all about working with switch function. Suppose if you want to make the alternate Saturdays off, or if you want to make Saturday Sunday working altogether, or if you want to add any other exceptions, that is a holiday or a vacation in between the calendar in Microsoft Project 2010, then we need to use change work time function or change calendar function. So for that, first of all, let's begin with how to insert the summary for the whole project. So as on the screen you can see this is the project, and if you want to know for how many days the project keeps on going, then you need to sum up all these days. So Microsoft project itself can do it and display on the very first row of this table. To do that, go on to format and click on project summary task over here. It shows the summary task for the project, so click on it. So now here we have the 0th row. Once again deselect, so you see that our project starts from 1, but while we enter this, it shows the total summary of our project. Now currently the summary is about, the duration is about 25 days. Now if you want to modify the working times, that is we want to modify the calendar, you can go on to the project tab over here, and here we have change working time. Now we can click over here. So this is the general box that appears on our screen. The gray color over here indicates that it's a holiday, that is Saturday and Sunday by default are set as an holiday over here. So now if you want to modify and make it as a working days, so first of all we need to go over here on work weeks tabs, click on it. It's by default written over here. Go to details and select days. Suppose if we want to make all 7 days as a working, so we can select all of them, or if we wanted to make just 6, we can select 6 of them. In this case we are selecting all the days as we want to make all of them working, and then go on to set days to the specific working times, that is we are setting a specific working time for each of these days. Suppose say the work starts at about 9, so we can write 9 over here, 9 to 12, and 13 hours to 17 hours, and press OK. So now what you can see is here the gray boxes have disappeared. The gray boxes has disappeared, which means the Saturday and Sunday both are now a working days. Now suppose if we want to add an exception that the 28th October, which is Monday, would be a holiday. So in order to do that, you need to now go on to exceptions, type the name of an exception. Suppose it's here casual holiday, type it, go on to the start, enter the start date of the holiday and finish date. Note that you need not to select the date from this calendar. If you want to enter date over here, you can go and click over here and select the date from this one. So we want to select 28th, so it's 28th. Mind well to select the finish date too, and if you want a holiday just for a single day, then mind well the start and the finish dates are very same. Now click on OK. So now when we again go on to the calendar, we can see that this is a holiday over here. Now suppose if we want to add a holiday for every 4th Saturday throughout the year, for that we just need to go over here again under exceptions tab, write last Saturday holiday for each month. Now after entering this, select details, go to details. Here we have the recurrence pattern. You can see over here. Here we want a recurrence pattern to be monthly, that is select monthly, then select the 4th day, that is Saturday of every 1 month, and this is a range of recurrence. Suppose we want to start from 25 October 2013 and we want to end by 25 October 2014, then we just need to put the range over here and then press on OK. So now what you can see is over here, that is each and every last Saturday of every month has been putted as a holiday. So this is how the holidays can be put up in a recurrence manner. Now if you want to add one or more calendar in the same project, you can do the very same. This is a standard project calendar in which we were doing this formatting. Suppose we want to enter a different calendar for different entities or for different persons, you can click on this tab, create new calendar, add the name, that is new calendar, and just press and OK. So it would give you an option: create a new base calendar, make a copy of standard calendar. So we are supposed taking into consideration a standard calendar, so we just click OK. If you want to save changes made to the base calendar standard, click on yes. So this is it, and we can select any of the calendar that we want from this tab. So this was all working with calendar in Microsoft Project 2010. Module 6: Work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is basically decomposition of projects into components and subcomponents. So let's understand. Suppose there is a project having components, further subcomponents, and finally work packages. So if the project is defined and named as project having components 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and if we look on to this further, the component 6 has a 4 subcomponents: 6.1, 6.2, 6.3 and 6.4, and this component 6.2 is divided into 3 work packages: 6.2.1, 6.2.2, 6.2.3. So this is basically the structure of WBS, that is work breakdown structure. Now if you want to apply the same thing in Microsoft Project 2010, it's quite simple. You need to just go onto this tab of add new column. You can right click, you can click over here and just go to W. So we have a WBS. Once you click on it, the WBS is displayed over here. The 0 is indicated over here because it's the project summary field. If you don't require this moment, we can hide this project summary task, so it goes away. Now suppose we say that B and E are the two main components under A. So now what we can do is we can select B to D portion, and then from taskbar we can directly indent it towards right. So on pressing this, just observe what happens over here, over this part. So once done, these all activities become a part of A. Can you see this? Similarly, if we want to make F and G part of E, then select them, go over here and make them indent. So now F and G are part of E. Now suppose if I want to divide C and D and make them as a part of P, then again I select C and D and I indent it. So you can see that one is a main, that is A, 1 point is B, and E comes out to be 2. So the further sequences goes in this manner: 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3. Now suppose if I want to make C and D part of B, then I would again indent it right. So the sequences changes from 1.1, 0.1 and 1.1.2. And in any case I want to bring it back, you can just click over here, outdent, and it comes back. So the work breakdown structure being very important in project management, so it's always suggestible that you include the WBS as a part of one of the mandatory columns in your project management sheet. So this was about getting work breakdown structure into MS Project. Recurring activities. Now say if a specific activity repeats itself on every specific day of the month, or specific day of the week, or specific day of the year, or specific frame of time during the year, then we need not to again that activity or task again and again. In spite of that, Microsoft Project 2010 has a feature named recurring task, in which we can enter the task which recurs and mention the interval of its repetition. So thereby it would appear in our task list automatically, and we need not to enter all the values manually. So to proceed towards this, you need to go onto the task menu as mentioned over here. Now for the project, as you can see on the screen, which ranges from 25th October 2013 to 10th November 2013. So if we look on to its calendar, which is something like this, it starts over here and ends over here. So now if we want to establish that the inspection, that is site inspection, takes place on every Tuesday during this date range. So in order to do that, go on to the task menu, go over here under the tasks, we can see a small arrow, click on it, go on to recurring task. Now over here you can enter the name, let's say inspection. Here you can mention the duration for which this activity or task would last. Recurrence pattern, we select it as weekly or monthly, what are required. Here we are assuming it to be weekly, and here recur every dash number of weeks. And for this project we are selecting recurrence on Tuesday. Here you can see the start range of the project, and this is the end range mentioned over here. So once here you can also select the calendar if you mentioned any. So once done, click on OK. Now you can see this inspection activity over here, and this symbol which denotes the task occurs 2 times between 25th October 2013 and 10th November 2013. That is our project range. So once you click over here or in this sign, you can see inspection 1 takes place on Tuesday, inspection 2 again takes place on Tuesday. So this is how you can enter the recurring activity, and you need not to enter manually each and every time when the task recurs itself. So this is all about entering recurring activities or recurring tasks in Microsoft Project 2010. Now we'll first look on to group by function. So group by is basically used when we want to group the items in the view based on some specified criteria. Say suppose if we want to see all the activities together who have the same responsibility, or say that we want to see all the activities grouped together in which the critical slack, or what we can say the total slack, is critical, that is it is 0. So in order to do this, you first need to go on to this view tab, click on it. Now over here in the view tab you have a group by feature. So in this, click onto the drop down menu. Now here you have some of the inbuilt group by features available by Microsoft Project 2010. Please do ignore this, as these are some of that created by me. Now suppose if we want to group the task based on the criticality, that is whether activity is critical or not, just you need to click on critical, and here it is. We can see over here that all the critical activities, that is the activities in which the total slack is equals to 0, have been grouped together, and in which the total slack does not equals to 0 has been grouped together. Similarly, if we want to look for responsibility, then we can directly click over here responsibility. Note that this was made by me and it's saved. It might not be directly visible on your project file. So you click over here and you can see over here that they are grouped by responsibility. So Alan has an activity F, Jack has D, Smith has C and G, and this was unnamed, so it's unnamed over here. Now suppose you want to customize the group by menu according to you. So you have that option too in Microsoft Project 2010. Click over here, you can go on to new group by, click over here. Now over here you can write over here the group name. Suppose I want responsibility as well as critical. So now here in this bar you can click over here and we can see a drop down menu where we will select first of all responsibility. So there is text 1, fill type, and here we have this. Then we have group by option. You can click on over here and we can look for total slack. Oh, here it is, and click on apply. So you can see over here the activities are grouped based on responsibility. Suppose if you look, there is an Alan over here, and under that we have all the activities listed under Alan which has a 0 slack over here. So this is how you can create as you require multi-level group by function. Now in order to remove this group by feature, you need to click over here and just click over here no group, so that you will by default get back the starting screen. So this is all about the group by function. Now let's look on the second part, that is filter function. Now in case of filter, the view is generally based on the selected criterias. So now let's get started using a filter function. To do so, we can go on to this view tab, and under that we have an option filter over here. So similarly as group, it has some built-in filters itself. So suppose if you want to look on to the critical activities, you can just click over here on critical. So it would just list down only those activities which are critical, that is the activities in which total slack is 0. Now suppose if you want to view the activities in a specific date range, so this is a box in which you can enter the data and you can get the values as a part of filter function. So it's basically known as an interactive filter in which we can feed the data. So now let's select activities falling between 27th of October 2013, okay, and before 1st of November 2013. Press OK. So now here you can see all the activities that fall between the selected date range. So this is how the interactive filter works. Now the question is, can we make an interactive filter? Yes, absolutely yes. So now let me show you how to make an interactive filter. To make an interactive filter, go to this tab, go on to new filter, and over here write the filter name new interactive filter. Now we need to put on the conditions over here. So let's first of all put the field name over here. So let the field name be responsibility test. Now we would put equal to over here, and over here we need to enter the question in the following syntax: double inverted commas, who is responsible, double inverted comma close, and then we need to put a question mark. Now if we want to use an AND function and we want to see which activities are critical, so click over there, then we go on to total slack equals, and we can write over here enter the value of slack and press apply. So this is it. Who is responsible? We can select Alan, press OK. Now enter the value of slack. If you want to see a critical activity, we can place 0, or if any other value as we want to see. Now let's put 0 and press OK. So now we can see the activities which belong to Alan and having a total slack equals to 0. So this is how the interactive filter works, and based on the requirement we can create a multiple level filter. Now if we want to get back to the preview, similarly as we do in a group, you can directly go over here and click on no filter. So this is all about group by and filter function in Microsoft Project 2010. How to assign the resources to the different tasks in the Microsoft Project 2010, while in second part we will see how to label the resources so that they are evenly distributed over the period of the project. So now let's begin with the very first part, that is resource assignment. Now say, for sake of simplicity and understanding, we want to just assign a one resource named R. So in order to add the resource, we first of all require to go on to view. In view, you need to click over here on resource sheet. Once you click here, it asks for the resource name. We write over here R. Now type. Now in type of resources, we can select whether it is a work, whether it's material, or whether it's cost. Now let's assume that this is a manpower, so it would be considered as a work, and we select work. Now if it's material, we can write the detailed description of the material over here in this tab. Now initials, you can initialize it in whatever form you want, that is say R1 or R2 or just R. And now here maximum, this means how much maximum number of resource R we have. It's denoted in percentage, but it would be fine if we denote this in a decimal values rather than representing it in a percentage. So to change this into decimal value, you need to go to File, Options, Schedule, and over here Schedule, show assignment unit as, and change to this to decimal and click on OK. So now we have this as a decimal value. Now say we have maximum of 10 units of resource R, and now here we have standard. Now you can see over here the standard rate, it represented as rate per hour. So if you want to change it per day, you say the rate is 100 rupees. So type 100/D. So it would convert it into per day mode. So this is how you can add a resource, as many resources as you want. Similarly, you want other resource, you may write it over here and fill the details accordingly. Now once we are done with this much, we can go again to task and over here on a detail Gantt. Now we can add a column named resource name over here. You see it's currently blank. So first of all, we need to assign the resources to each and every task. Now to assign the resources, you can directly add resource from over here, but it's a little risky, so I would suggest not to enter the resource directly over here. To enter the resources, you may go to more views over here and select task detail form over here, this one. So now in task detail form, here we have the name of the task, here we have the duration of the task and dates, constraints, any type of task, WBS code and all other things present over here. Now so the very key point is always enter the tasks, assign the resources to the tasks in task detail form. Point 2, note that effort driven is always deselected. Note effort driven is always deselected. And the third very important point is task type should always be fixed to fixed duration, because when we do any other function such as leveling or any thing, or we play with some function with resources, what it will do, it will alter the duration of the task, which we don't want. So always select fixed duration in this case. Now to the task A, we want to assign the resource R and the unit is say 9. So doing this much, press OK and next. For B again, we have resource R, unit is say 3, and we need to change this to fixed duration, and note effort driven is deselected. Next for C, we have similarly 6 units, change this to fixed duration and OK. Next for D, we have 4 units, fixed duration, OK, and next. For E, we have 8, fixed duration, OK, and next. F, resource R, unit 7, fixed duration, OK. So here it's saying that it's over allocation or something taking place, so don't worry, just press skip if this type of error occurs, or just cancel it. Next for G, we assign the resource R with units 2, changing into fixed duration and pressing OK. Cancel it. Next. And for last, that is activity H, we have unit 1, fixed duration, OK. Cancel it. So now we are done. Now we can go back to the detailed Gantt view and see the resources have been assigned over here, and you can see the similar resources being displayed over here. If it's not being displayed over here, you can go to format and format bar, and you can select it on the right portion of the bar and bring it over here. So this is how to assign the resources in Microsoft Project 2010. So the key points in assignment of the resource is that you should always enter the resource from the task detail form, number 1. Number 2 is, please ensure that always you have selected fixed duration. Also, please ensure that you have not selected effort driven. So these are the 3 main steps that you need to keep in mind while assignment of the resources. Now let's begin with the second part, resource leveling. Resource leveling in project management is a technique used to examine unbalanced use of resources over time and for resolving over allocation or conflict of resources. So basically in this file, after you assign the resources, you can see that there are small red marked symbol over here. This indicates that the resources required for the task are more than that we have assigned. So how to resolve this? So it can be resolved with the way of resource leveling. So first of all, let's see what actually the problem is. So we can see a resource graph. To see a resource graph, you may go on to view menu, other views, and a resource graph. Now here, if it's not visible, you can scroll or you can press next and you can see your resource over here. So we have a graph for resource R. Red portion indicates it's over allocated on specific days, while blue indicates that it's allocated, while it may be underutilized too. So if you look on to the whole cycle, it's like this. It's over allocated on some of these days, while it's underutilized on some of these days. So a manager would efficiently redistribute these tasks without affecting the duration of the project, and that can be easily done with a resource leveling feature. So let's see how we can do it. So let's get back to detail Gantt chart over here. Now you can see that we have slack available for some of these days for A, B and E. So delaying the prior activity would not affect the overall project cycle or project time. So the one way to settle this issue is by using the slack. So let's readjust these activities that some of the work can be carried out at other day, thereby not affecting the entire project cycle. So to do that, you may go on to resource tab, then go on to leveling options over here, click on it. Always select an automatic mode when you are doing adjustment with available slack, and over here just tick mark the first box, that is level with only within available slack, and click on level all. Just observe what happens over here, and it would ask that cannot resolve over allocation of issue R and all that. Just press keep all. Now you can see the problem has been solved over here, while problem still persists over these two places. Now let's understand this again with the help of resource graph. View other views, resource graph. Okay, now you can see that initially these were underutilized points. Now they are highly utilized or fully utilized, while only over allocation has been there on very small this portion of the week. So this is how we can redistribute the resources and utilize them to the maximum level without affecting the project duration. Now getting back to the detailed Gantt, now you can see the available slack is 0, so that all the slack is consumed over here in order to balance the resources. Now still here you can see these two red markings which says the resources required are more than allocated. So one thing is that you can increase the duration of the day if possible, or reduce the demand for resources to complete that work. So this is all about resource leveling in Microsoft Project 2010. You want to do. Now let's understand what macro is. Basically, macro records the set of steps that we do in order to perform a particular task in a form of a shortcut key with an option of Ctrl plus some character. Like we have Ctrl S to save, Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Similarly, we can select any other character which doesn't belong to the Windows shortcut and use it to create a macro. So now let's learn how to create a macro. Say every time we enter an task over here, and we need to do it auto scheduler for each and every time we enter the tasks. So let's create a macro which would do auto scheduling for us once we press Ctrl plus the respective shortcut allocated to it. Now to begin with, we'll first of all need to go to view over here. Then we need to go to over here macro, press record macro. Now once you're over here, you need to enter the macro name, say auto schedule, because we need to make a macro for auto schedule. So I will write over here auto schedule. Now let's select the shortcut key as Ctrl J, as it's not being used by Windows. Now you have an option, store macro in a global file or this project. Global file means it would be saved across this computer or my laptop, and I can use this macro for any of the file existing on the system, while for this project is limited just to this project on which we are working. So now let's select a global file, and you can write over your description, that is, it is an auto schedule to ease the work, whatever you want if required, and then press OK. Now note, each and every operations, each and every clicks you do on the screen is being recorded. So please avoid unnecessary clicks or steps over here. So now we will directly go and start the procedure that we do to auto schedule the tasks. First of all, we will go on to the tasks menu. Then we will click over here in this box, as you know, to select the whole area, and then we will click on auto schedule. And then we will directly, after our work is done, we will directly go on to the view menu, click over here in the macros and press stop recording. So now the set of activities that we did are recorded, and if you want to see the macro, you can go over here into view macro. You can see over here auto schedule has came over here, and this is a description of auto schedule to ease the work, macro recorded on this date. And if you are further interested and want to see the code of it, you can click over here and you can the view menu, and you can see the code. It's being generated in Microsoft Visual Basic for applications. So this is a code for the macro. Now let's try out how it works. Let's say we are adding an activity, say X, Y and Z, 3 activities having durations of 4, 3 and 2 days respectively, and having predecessors as 10, 11 and 12. So now you can see over here on the screen that these activities are appearing over here this part, but they are showed as pins as they are manually scheduled. If it be not an auto schedule, it would have been displayed in this manner. So now in order to directly convert it into an auto schedule, we will not select the whole, go on to task and press auto schedule. We will just press Ctrl J and see how it works. So now you can see that this which was previously manually scheduled is now automatically scheduled. So this is how we can record a macro and use it and ease the work, because we need not to do so many steps each time. We can just create a shortcut and make it do whatever work we want. Now let's come on to the second part, that is creating a switch or a button. It's a further simplified version of a macro in which we have a switch, anything like this or this menu or this menu. We need just to press it and the task would be done. Unlike in macro, we need to press the shortcut, that is Ctrl plus something. Here we need to just click on a button and it would perform a task for us. Now let's get started how to do it. So in order to do it, we first of all need to record a macro. So let's again record a new macro. So as you know, go on to macro, record macro. Let's name a schedule as filter, as we would be using filter for that purpose. And let's put an shortcut key as Ctrl L, and let's save this as this project file. Now when I press OK, now as you know, all the steps would be recorded. So we will now go on to the view menu over here, go on to the filter, and we'll click on date range. Now here we have to enter the dates that we require to put, so that it would record the whole process. But note, it would not record the dates that we put in, it would record just the procedure. So say we want to check it from 29th, press OK, and before say 5th and press OK. Now again go into the macro and press stop recording. So the macro has been recorded, that is set of activities or things that we have done are being recorded. Now to further create a button, we need to go over here, press view macro, go on to this new one, filter, create on edit. Now in this step you need to create the center portion of the language in VBA. Just press Ctrl C, that is we need to copy it, or you can copy it like this. Then go on to insert, user form. So now this is a switchboard that we get, and we need to put the switch. You need to just select this command button and drag it and put it over here. Now you can click swiftly on it and you can edit its name as required. So let's say we want to put filter, or you can alternatively also directly type over here the name filter. Now you need to double click on it, so you get this type of thing where you need to read the command. But as we don't know the VBA, we would just paste the command that we had already copied. So right click and paste, and once done you need to just press this run button. So you get the switchboard over here with a switch or a button called filter. So we not need to press Ctrl K, instead we can just press this if we want to run the filter. So let's check it out. Let's press it. So it works exactly as it should be. So now again we can select the date range, say it from 26 and say last date is 30, and press on OK, and we can see the tasks has been filtered according to that. So this is how you can create a button. Now again, if you want to add another button, you can record another macro and repeat the same process again. So this is how to make or create a switchboard. Project monitoring using earn value concept. Now say if you have a project with a duration of 10 days and estimated cost of 40,000, and the bid at which project was awarded is 45,000, and penalty for per day late completion is rupees 1,000. So the profit margin over here is rupees 5,000. Now the BCWS, which is known as budgeted cost of work scheduled, say at the end of the third day will be rupees 12,000, as it is rupees 4,000 per day, which we can see over here. Now say if at the end of third day it is found that only 25% of the work is completed and the actual cost incurred is say 11,000. So 25% of 40,000 is say INR 10,000, which is known as budgeted cost of work performed, while actual cost incurred, that is actual cost of work performed, is say rupees 11,000. So we have an index known as cost performance index, which is budgeted cost of work performed divided by actual cost of work performed. So that is 10,000 by 11,000, which comes out to be 0.91. If CPI is equals to 1, the project is said to be okay. If it's less than 1, we can say the project is over budget, and if its CPI is greater than 1, it is under budget. So in this case it is over the budget. So now let's forecast at what cost the project would be completed. To forecast the cost, we have a formula. Forecast cost is equals to planned cost upon CPI. So that is 40,000 upon 0.91. It's approximately equal to 44,000, thereby reducing our profit margin from 5,000 to 1,000. Now we have another index which is also known as schedule performance index, which gives us detail about the schedule. So according to the formula, schedule performance index is equals to basic cost of work performed by budgeted cost of work scheduled. That is 10,000 by 12,000, which comes out approximately equals to 0.8. Similarly, as CPI, if it's equal to 1, it is okay. If it's less than 1, it's behind the schedule, and if it's greater than 1, it's ahead of the schedule. So here it's behind the schedule. So now let's forecast the duration of completion. So the planned duration upon SPI gives us a forecast duration, which is 10 divided by 0.83, which gives us a number that is 12 days. Now let's do the very same thing in Microsoft Project 2010. So to begin with, we'll first of all insert a task name, say A, which has a duration of 10 days, and make it an auto schedule using macro that we created recently. Once done, we would be required to add the resource. So let's go into view, resource sheet, say we have resource M having a maximum value of 18 and rate is 400 rupees per day. And then we will go to the Gantt chart view, double click over here and add the resource, that is M having units 10, and click on OK. And to simplify the work, we will make it the working time to be all 7 days a week. So go on to work weeks, details, select off the days as you all know, set specific time and click on OK. So all 7 days of the week are now working and we have a project which lasts for 10 days. Then we need to click on over here in the project menu, that is set baseline and set baseline. Make sure that you have selected entire project over here and click on OK. Now go on to the add new column and select baseline cost. So the cost of the project for the 10 day comes out to be 40,000 as we already know. Now before starting to work further, make sure that you do this. Go on to the file menu, go on to options, schedule over here, scroll down and go on to this part, calculation options for this project, and make sure that you have deselected the third option, that is actual costs are always calculated by project. After doing this, click on OK. Please don't forget to do this. Now after doing this, let's set the status date. Status date is the date at the end of which you would like to know the status of the project. Let us say we want to know the status of the project at the third day, end of the third day. So being start date being 27th October 2013, we would set status date as say 29th because it's the third day and press OK. Once done this much, go on to the view menu over here, and over here in the tables, go on to more tables and select earned value cost indicators and press apply. So after doing this, you can see we have got columns such as CPI, BCWS, PCWP. Now in order to work further, we need to go on to the add column and add a column name actual cost, and actual cost as you all know that is 11,000, so we'll enter 11000 over here. Then we need to further go ahead and add another column which is known as percentage work complete, which we also know is 25%. So once you enter this value, you can see the CPI comes out to be 0.91, which is exactly the same that we saw in the project. And now if you want to find SPI, go on over here, add column SPI, and you can see that it's 0.83. That's also similar as that we got in the previous part. So now if you want to find out, or we want to forecast the duration, so in order to forecast the duration, that is we have the formula and duration by SPI. So we will go on to add a new column, say cost 1, go over here, custom fields, formula, and we would add over here duration divided by, we'll go on to the cost and put SPI and click on OK. Okay, so here you can see it's actually coming in rupees, but SPI is for the schedule. So that's the mistake many people commonly make. So make sure that you don't do that. You need to add a duration column over here instead of a cost. So go on to this part, add new column, select say duration 2, go on to custom fields, say we want to give it name as a forecast duration, go on to formula, filled duration divided by filled cost. Here we would be having SPI and click on OK. So now we can see over here the forecast duration comes out to be 12 days, exactly as we had seen in the manual example. So this is all about working with project monitoring using earned value concept in Microsoft Project 2010. Now let's look on to some of the other small features but useful features of Microsoft Project 2010. Now the very first case is to customize a ribbon. Suppose say if you are using a particular thing or a particular function too many times and you don't want to always go into say project or view or add in, and you want to combine each one of them and make a new ribbon. So Microsoft Project 2010, like any other Microsoft Office project, gives us this chance to do it. For that you need to go into the file menu. Under the file menu you need to go into options, and over here we have tab known as Customize Ribbon, so do click on it. And now you can see the ribbon over here, which are exactly the same over here. That is, we can see tabs, tasks, resources, project, view, same over here, add-ins says same over here. So if you want to add another one, you can click over to new tab and you can rename the tab as you want, or say I want to rename this tab, I want to rename it as my useful tabs, and I press OK. So here I have a new tab known as my useful tab. Now we can go over here, and if we want to add an auto schedule as a part of this, you can just click over here. First click over here, then click over here and press add. If I want to say another thing, say move task, you can click over here and add it also. If you want to add some another thing, say redo, undo, publish, print, whatever you want, say outline, add over here. And after doing all this, you can just press OK. You see, now we have a new tab known as my useful tabs, having the things that we had selected. So if you require to do some functions again and again, you can put into this and save a lot of your time. And if you want to delete it, you have the same way. Again, go to File, Options, Customize Ribbon, select the one which you want to delete, right click it on it and just press remove and press OK. So it's gone. So this was the very first thing about inserting a ribbon and deleting a ribbon. Now say if you want to use this file as again and again for many of your projects, then instead of saving it as an MS project file, you can save it as a template so that it becomes easy to use. So in order to save as template, you can go into File, Save As, and under Save As tab you have an option of Microsoft Project Template. So once you save it as a template, each time you open, you have the same file as a template and you need to just edit the data as and when you want. Now going on, the third thing is exporting and importing data from Excel. Now let's say we want to import this we want to export this to Excel. So to do it, you can go on to File, go on to Save As option. Now let's select a folder that is IMIEX, I have still made for it. Go on to Project and select .xlsx and press Save. So now a wizard would start. So in the very first step, press Next. Second, you have an option, the format of the data you want to export, whether it is a project Excel template or selected data. Just click on selected data and press Next. Here also select a new map and press Next. Now here we have select the type of data you want to export. Suppose we want to export only the tasks, so we'd select task. If you also want resource, you can select both of them and 3 of them too. Now let's just select tasks and press Next. Now here we are required to give the name of what all columns from the task we want. Say we want name, so I write name. Say we want duration too, so duration. Now say predecessor. If I want only 3 of them, then I need to press Next and finally finish. So now you can see in that folder we have an Excel file of the same, that is an Excel file is created of the same Microsoft project file, as you can see over here. Now say if I want to bring this again, or if I want to bring any of the Microsoft project file, Microsoft Excel file to Microsoft project, first of all let's take this new file, go on to File, Open, select the file that is in IMIEX folder, go on to over here and go on to .xlsx file, we have video file, click on it and press Open. So again a wizard would start. Select Next, new map as a new project, and we will select tasks as we want tasks only, and we are also exported tasks only. Then press Next. Finally it will show what all it contains, and you can remove any of the thing you want, or you want to move any of them, and then you can press Next, and on finish that same thing would be imported over here. Now we just need to press Ctrl J so that it's again auto scheduled as our recorded macro. So this is about bringing data to and from Excel. Now seeing on to the last feature. Suppose if the start date is 28/10/2013 and you want to move the entire project say by a month, so you need not to change the date over here, because you would be required to do this thing again and again in all the tasks. So the very smart way is to click onto project, go on to the move project and change the date over here. Suppose I want to say start it 1 month later from 27 November and click on OK. You can see that enter say 2010. Now say after you have prepared a Microsoft project file or prepared a whole project in Microsoft project, and your client or your boss says that please give me a report on the entire project. So now you need to convert the whole file into a report form so that it's easily understandable and without any ambiguity from the actual data. So Microsoft Project 2010 has an excellent feature to convert the directly project into report, which you can take a print or convert it as a PDF and then send over to your client or your boss or any other person who requires it. So now we will learn how to do that. In order to do that, you need to first of all go on to project over here, and you can go on to reports over in this tab. Now we have different options available: overview of the project, current, costs, assignment, workload, and customs. So if you look onto the overview tab, select this and just click on select. Now it gives various ready templates what you want: project summary, top level task, critical task, milestone, working days. Let's select critical task and press select. So now this is a report of the critical tasks as of Saturday 26/10/2013 respectively. So this is the entire report on it. You can directly print the report by giving print, or you can convert it into PDF if you have an Adobe PDF installed. You can select Adobe PDF over here, and when you will give print, it will convert into a PDF file. So this is how it works. Now suppose if we want to see the assignment of resources, we can click on assignment, select who does what and when, what allocated resources, to-do list. We have many options. So let's see who does what and when, and clicking on select, we can see that entire report again, and you can take a print or convert into PDF as you. Now suppose if you want to make a customized report as per your requirements, then Microsoft Project 2010 also provides that option. You can click over here on customs and go to select and create a new type of report. Now it asks which type of report do you want: task, resource, monthly calendar, or so. So let's select a task and click on OK. It will ask for the name of the report. Let's write learning report. Now we need to select a period that we want for entire period, or months or weeks or whatever we want. So let's select entire period. Table now show summary task, gray bands, whatever. You can click on this if you require all these things, or not if you don't require. Let's click on this. Now what details we want to include: suppose if we want to include predecessors, if we from task we want to include as predecessors, from assignment we want to include cost, and if you further want to sort it, you can click over here and sort by respectively. So once done, press OK. Now we have a learning report over here. You can see here in this tab, and by selecting it, it would generate a report as per our customization that we have provided. So this is how you can generate different reports. Now suppose you want to generate the same report in say Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Visio. Similarly, you can go over to this tab under project, that is visual reports. Click over here, select whatever you want. Suppose I want to see the task summary, or suppose say resource usage report, or say assignment summary, or say resource summary. If I want to this type of resource, show the report template created in it. We have option Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Visio. Let's say you want to get it into Excel, then you need to uncheck this and just press view. On pressing view, it will take a bit of time and convert the same thing as in a form of a graph and a data in Microsoft Excel. So this is all working with and preparing reports in Microsoft Project 2010. Module 11: Combining multiple projects and resource pooling. Now say you are working on 3 different projects: project 1, project 2, and project 3, and they are using some common or same set of resources, and you want to manage them very efficiently. So you cannot work on each of the project individually and manage it. So now you need to combine all the projects into one single file and assign resources to them, and to look on how it works. So to do this, we need to first of all prepare a multiple project files, that is combine project 1, project 2, project 3 into a single file. So first of all we get started creating different project files. Now say the project 1 has activity A or task A, B and C having duration say 4, 5, 2 and 5 respectively. Now and predecessors as 1 and 2. Make sure that you make it an auto schedule. Then we need to save the file. So let's save it in a new folder such as my works, and let the file name be project 1 or anything which you want. Let's put save. Now let's create another project and again enter the activities. Say activities are F, G and H having say duration 7, 5, 6 and predecessors respectively as 1 and 1 or 1 or 2, whatever you want to as your project may be having. Now let's again save this file. So let's go to the folder that we had already saved in my works and let's save the file as project 2. Now let's again create the third file and say the task names are X, Y and Z having duration say 5, 4 and 3 days respectively and having predecessors as 1 and 2, and make sure that you make it an auto schedule. And now let's save this file too in the very same folder, that is my works, as project 3. So now this was about creating the 3 different project files. Now we need to make another different file in which we will put just only resources in the resource sheet. So to do it, go on to view, resource sheet, and now we need to place the resource name. Say we have 2 resources, R1 and R2. Both are of the type work, and suppose say we have maximum of 10 in both the cases, and say the rate is 100 per day and 200 per day. And now let's again save this file in the very same folder of my works, and now I will name it as resource pull and press on OK. So now after doing this, you need to again open the very first file that you had created, that is project 1. So let me open it. Now if you go on to the resource sheet, it appears to be blank. So in order to directly link the resources from the file that we had created for just resources, we need to go on resources, resource pool and share. But before doing this, please note to keep the file open that has the resources. For example, over here I have kept the file resource pool open, because if it's not open, it won't be displayed over here in this list. And then press OK. So you can see the resources have now been transformed into this new project. Now we can go on to the task Gantt chart and now assign the resources as we had learned in module 9, resource assignment, or we can directly also assign resources by double clicking over here, going to resources. Now I will select R1 and say I need 5 units and press OK. Similarly over here I can go on to, I can select R2 or R1 or both as may be required and say I require 4 units. Similarly in case of C, I require both say R1, R2 and both are say 2 units each, and I will press OK. Now I will save this file again. Similarly now let's go to file number 2, which also has an empty resource sheet, and now we'll go to resource pool, share resources, use resources from resourcepool.mpp and click OK. So now it has also got the resources. Now I can double click over here, assign resources, say R2 is 5 units, I click on OK, double click again. Now again let's say R1 has 1 unit, OK, and H has say resource R2 having 8 units and press OK. and finally save this file. Now again go to project 3 and repeat the same procedure. Resource, share resources, okay, and again let's add the resources. Suppose it has a resources R2, which is suppose say 5 units. Okay, so now you can see that there might be a box appearing which says that resources are over allocated or something. Now at this moment just press this cancel button. It's because the resources are not labeled, that is resource allocation is more than required. Now double click again, say R1, say 2 units, press OK. You can again stop or you can skip, whatever you want to, and again say we assign R2 in 1 unit and press on OK. And let's also save this file. You can again cancel it if it's asked again, or put a stop or skip all as it may be required. Now after all this is done, now we want to combine all these files into a very one single file. So to do this, let's create again a new file, and first of all save that file in the very same folder as multiple works. Now after this done, you need to go on to the project tab over here, click on it, click on sub project, and now you need to select project 1 and press insert. If this box appear, you can press skip all or stop as it may be required after you read the directions on the screen. Similarly, so now when clicking this, we can see this over here. Now similarly, in order to bring project 2 over here, we can add sub project. We can also add 2 or more files together, that is if I select 3 and 2 or 2 and 3 and press insert, we can see that we can insert both the files together over here. Now say you may want to give a predecessor relationship between project 1 and project 3 over here. So the one step is to click on this bar, hold it and drag it and place it where required. Suppose I want to link it over here or whatever, I can do it. And the other way of doing it is, suppose I want to say that this project is after project say C of project 1, so I can click over here, I can type the whole path of the file, that is C /users /yash /desktop /my works / then I need to type the project file, that is project 1.mpp / and finally I need to write this number, that is number 3, and press enter. So now you can see the file has been connected in this sequence respectively. Now suppose again I want to repeat the same thing. What I will do is I will copy the whole thing and I will paste it over here and make the respective changes as required. Suppose I want to link it with project 2, I will write project 2, and here I will write 4. Oh, so there is some problem establishing a relationship over here. So on making it auto schedule, we can see that we can accomplish it. So this was a minor problem during working, and you may also encounter some of these. So you need to identify the problems and try to work out on it. Now suppose if you want to similarly add another predecessor to the same, you may again write the whole path after separating it by a comma after the previous path has been completed. So this is how you connect the different files in Microsoft Project 2010. Now we need to add resources here again as we did previously, that is to go to resource pool, share resources, use resources from, select the resource pool.mpp file and press OK. So now the resources are again being connected with this file too. Now making change in any one of the files, that is, now if we say we have connected the 3 files of projects with 1 file of resource and finally clubbed all of them into one single file. So now making change in any one of the file will also make the changes in all the files. Let's see, if we just press on save over here, it would ask, do you want to save changes? Yes, and we have option yes to all, yes, no, no to all, and cancel. So now whatever decision you make will be made on all the existing files. So let's say yes to all. So the changes made in this file have been reflected in all the files that are linked with this. So this is all about combining files in Microsoft Project 2010 and resource pooling.